The pregnancy test slipped from Diana Gray's trembling fingers and clattered against the marble bathroom counter, the single line mocking her once again with its finality. She pressed her palms flat against the cold stone, her reflection in the mirror showing hollow eyes that had seen this disappointment too many times before. 6 months of trying, 6 months of hope dissolving into grief every 28 days like clockwork. Deanna. Vincent Xavier's voice carried through the bedroom, warm and concerned. "Everything okay in there?" She forced herself to breathe, to arrange her face into something resembling composure before she opened the door. Vincent stood there in his navy suit, the one he wore for board meetings at Xavier Pharmaceuticals, but his tie was already loosened. He took one look at her expression and pulled her into his chest without a word. "Negative," she whispered against his shirt, feeling the expensive fabric dampen beneath her cheek. His arms tightened around her. "We'll keep trying. The doctor said it can take time. 6 months is time, Vincent. Maybe something's wrong with me." He pulled back, cupping her face between his hands. His gray eyes were steady, determined. "Nothing is wrong with you, and even if there is something going on medically, we'll figure it out together. That's what we do." Deanna nodded, wanting desperately to believe him. They had been married for 2 years, together for 3 before that. She had fallen for him not because of his wealth or the pharmaceutical empire he had built from the company his father left him, but because of moments like these. When Vincent loved, he loved with his whole heart, holding nothing back. "I have that meeting in an hour," he said reluctantly, "but I can cancel it." "No, don't, I'll be fine, just disappointed." "I know, sweetheart, so am I." He kissed her forehead, lingering there for a moment. "How about we go out tonight, that Italian place you love?" She managed a small smile. "That sounds nice." After Vincent left, Deanna went through the motions of her day. She worked from home as a freelance editor, currently deep in a manuscript about resilience that felt almost cruelly ironic given her mood. Her phone buzzed around noon with a text from her best friend Claire. "Coffee this afternoon. I have news." Deanna almost declined, but sitting alone in their penthouse apartment, dwelling on another failed attempt at conception seemed worse. She agreed to meet at 2. Claire was already at their usual cafe when Deanna arrived, practically bouncing in her seat. The moment Deanna sat down, Claire grabbed her hands. "I'm pregnant. 12 weeks. Deanna's heart seized. She was genuinely happy for her friend, truly she was, but the timing felt like the universe twisting a knife. "That's wonderful," she said, meaning it despite the ache in her chest. "Congratulations." Claire's excitement dimmed slightly as she studied Deanna's face. "You've been trying, haven't you?" There was no point in lying to someone who had known her since college. "Yes, no luck yet." "Oh, Deanna, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been so insensitive." "Don't be ridiculous. This is amazing news and you should be excited." Deanna squeezed her friend's hands. "Tell me everything. How are you feeling?" They spent the next hour talking about morning sickness and doctor's appointments and nursery colors. Deanna participated fully, asked the right questions, laughed at the right moments. But when she got home that evening, she found herself crying in the shower where Vincent wouldn't hear. Dinner at Marino's was exactly what she needed. Vincent ordered wine for himself and sparkling water for her, just in case, the way he always did during what they had started calling the maybe window of her cycle. They talked about his work, about the new acquisition his company was negotiating, about the manuscript she was editing. They talked about everything except babies. "I've been thinking," Vincent said over tiramisu they were sharing. "Maybe we should make an appointment with a fertility specialist, not because I think anything's wrong, but just to get some guidance. Make sure we're doing everything right." Deanna set down her fork. "You'd be willing to do that?" "Deanna, I'd do anything, you know that." His hand found hers across the table. "I want this baby with you more than anything, and if we need help getting there, then we get help. There's no shame in that." "Okay," she said softly. "Let's make an appointment." The relief in his eyes told her he had been worried about suggesting it. Vincent was always so careful with her feelings, so aware of not pushing her before she was ready. It was one of the 1,000 reasons she loved him. 2 weeks later, they sat in Dr. Patel's office at one of Manhattan's premier fertility clinics. The doctor was a kind woman in her 50s who radiated competence and compassion in equal measure. "We'll start with some basic tests," Dr. Patel explained. "Blood work for both of you, hormone panels, a semen analysis, and an HSG test for you, Deanna, to make sure your fallopian tubes are clear. These will give us a baseline to work with." The tests stretched over the next month. Deanna endured needles and procedures. Vincent provided samples and got his own blood drawn. They waited for results with a tension that thrummed beneath their daily lives like a constant electrical current. When they returned to Dr. Patel's office, the doctor's expression was professionally neutral as she reviewed their charts. "The good news is that everything looks normal," she began. "Vincent, your sperm count and motility are excellent. Deanna, your hormone levels are within normal ranges, your tubes are clear, and you're ovulating regularly." "Then why isn't it happening?" Deanna asked, hearing the frustration in her own voice. "Sometimes there's no clear medical reason. We call it unexplained infertility, and it's actually quite common. About 30% of couples fall into this category." Dr. Patel leaned forward. "The reality is that even under perfect conditions, the chance of conception in any given month is only about 20%. 6 months of trying, while it feels like a long time, is actually well within the normal range." "So what do we do?" Vincent asked, his hand tight around Deanna's. "We have options. We could continue trying naturally for a while longer, though I know that can be emotionally taxing. We could try medicated cycles with ovulation induction to increase the number of eggs you release each month. Or we could look at more intensive interventions like IUI or IVF." Deanna felt overwhelmed by the options, by the clinical nature of something that should have been natural and intimate. "Can we think about it? Of course. Take your time. There's no rush here." In the car afterward, Deanna stared out the window at the city streaming past. Vincent drove in silence for several blocks before pulling over into a parking garage. He turned off the engine and shifted to face her. "Talk to me," he said quietly. "I just feel broken," she admitted. "Like my body won't do the one thing it's designed to do." "You're not broken. The doctor said everything's normal." "Then why do I feel like this?" Vincent reached over and pulled her into an awkward embrace across the center console. "Because this matters to you, to us, and when something matters this much, the disappointment cuts deeper." She pulled back to look at him. "Are you disappointed in me, Deanna?" "No, never." His voice was fierce. "I'm disappointed by the situation, frustrated that this is harder than we hoped, but you're the love of my life. Baby or no baby, that doesn't change. But you want children. I want a family with you, whatever that looks like." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "We have options. Good options, and we'll figure out what feels right for us." They decided to try medicated cycles first. It felt like a middle ground, more intervention than natural but less intensive than IVF. Deanna started taking Clomid, a small pill that made her emotional and gave her headaches but promised to increase their chances. The first medicated cycle ended like all the others. Negative. "It's okay," Vincent said, holding her while she cried. "We'll try again." The second cycle brought a faint second line that had Deanna's heart soaring for 3 days before she started bleeding. A chemical pregnancy, Dr. Patel called it. Very common, a sign that conception was possible but crushing nonetheless. "We were pregnant," Deanna said numbly, sitting on their bed. "For 3 days we were pregnant." Vincent sat beside her, his face pale. "I know. Does it hurt you like this?" she asked. "Or is it different for you?" He was quiet for a long moment. "It hurts like hell," he finally said. "Every month, every negative test, every hope that gets crushed. But I think it might be different. This is happening to your body. You feel every symptom, every change, every disappointment physically. I just have to watch the woman I love go through it and feel helpless." She turned to him, seeing the pain he usually kept hidden for her sake. "You're not helpless, you're here, that matters. I wish I could fix this. I can fix business problems, negotiate deals, solve logistical nightmares. But this, I can't throw money at it or work harder or find some solution through sheer determination. I hate it." It was the most vulnerable she had seen him since this journey began. Deanna took his hand. "We're in this together, that's what matters." The third medicated cycle failed. The fourth brought another chemical pregnancy. By the fifth, Deanna was exhausted in ways that went beyond physical. The constant hope and disappointment had worn grooves in her soul. "I don't know if I can keep doing this," she told Vincent one night as they lay in bed. "Every month feels like having my heart broken all over again." He rolled onto his side to face her. "Then we stop. Or we try something different. We're not locked into this path. But what if nothing works? What if we can never have a baby? Then we'll grieve that loss together and we'll decide what we want our life to look like. Maybe adoption, maybe just the two of us, maybe something we haven't thought of yet." He traced her cheekbone with his thumb. "Deanna, I married you because I love you, not because I needed you to give me children. You are enough. You've always been enough." She started crying again, but this time it was different. Relief mixed with the grief. "I love you so much. I love you too, more than anything." They took a break from treatment for 2 months. Deanna stopped tracking her cycle obsessively, stopped timing intimacy, stopped analyzing every twinge in her body. They went away for a long weekend to the Hamptons, walked on the beach, made love without the pressure of procreation hanging over them. "I forgot what this felt like," Deanna said one morning, lying in Vincent's arms as sunlight streamed through the windows. "Just being us. We're still us. We never stopped being us." He kissed her temple. "But I know what you mean. It's nice to just be present." When they returned to the city, Deanna felt more grounded. They met with Dr. Patel again to discuss next steps. "How would you feel about IUI?" the doctor asked. "Intrauterine insemination. We'd combine it with ovulation induction, monitor your follicles, and when you're about to ovulate, we'd place Vincent's sperm directly into your uterus. It increases the chances because we're bypassing some of the obstacles." "What are the success rates?" Vincent asked. "For your age and situation, about 15 to 20% per cycle. We typically recommend 3 to 6 cycles before moving to IVF if needed." Deanna looked at Vincent. They had learned to communicate without words during this process. She saw the question in his eyes, the willingness to support whatever she decided. "Let's try it," she said. The first IUI cycle was strange and clinical. Deanna went in for monitoring appointments every few days, getting ultrasounds to watch her follicles grow. When the time was right, Vincent provided a sample that was processed while Deanna lay on the exam table. The procedure itself took only minutes, a thin catheter threading through her cervix, a gentle ache, and then it was done. "Now we wait," Dr. Patel said with an encouraging smile. The 2-week wait was agony. Deanna tried to stay busy, tried not to symptom spot, tried not to get her hopes up. Vincent took her out to dinner, brought home her favorite desserts, rubbed her feet while they watched television. He was trying so hard to keep her spirits up while managing his own anxiety. When the test came back negative, they held each other and promised to try again. The second IUI produced 2 mature follicles, doubling their chances according to Dr. Patel. Deanna felt cautiously optimistic as they left the clinic after the procedure. Vincent held her hand in the taxi home. "I have a good feeling about this one," he said. "Don't jinx it." "I'm not superstitious, I'm just hopeful." She wanted to believe him, wanted to share his optimism. But she had learned to guard her heart, to expect disappointment as a shield against the crushing weight of it. 2 weeks later, the test was negative again. "One more," Deanna said, her voice hollow. "I can do one more IUI and then I think we need to talk about IVF." Vincent nodded. "Whatever you need." The third IUI fell during the holidays. Deanna went in for her monitoring appointments between shopping for gifts and attending Vincent's company Christmas party. She smiled through cocktail conversation. accepted sparkling cider instead of champagne, and tried not to scream when people asked when they were planning to have kids. "Soon, we hope," Vincent always answered smoothly, his hand finding Deanna's and squeezing gently. The procedure happened 2 days before Christmas. Deanna spent Christmas Eve on bed rest per Dr. Patel's suggestion, though the doctor admitted there was little evidence it made a difference. Vincent brought dinner up to their bedroom on a tray, complete with candles and Christmas music playing softly. "This is nice," Deanna said, meaning it. "Just us. Next year there might be 3 of us celebrating, or maybe not. We have to prepare for that possibility too." Vincent set down his fork. "I know, and we'll face whatever comes together. But Deanna, I need you to know something. This journey, as hard as it's been, has made me love you even more. Watching your strength, your resilience, how you keep showing up even when it breaks your heart. You're the most incredible woman I've ever known." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "It doesn't feel like strength, it feels like barely surviving." "That is strength. Surviving something that wants to break you, choosing to keep trying, that's the definition of strength." She reached for his hand. "I couldn't do this without you. When I think about stopping, about giving up, you're the reason I don't. Because I see how much you love me, how much you believe in us, and it makes me want to keep fighting." They spent the rest of Christmas Eve wrapped up in each other, talking about everything and nothing. For a few hours, the weight of infertility lifted, and they were just 2 people in love celebrating the holiday. The 2-week wait stretched through New Year's. Deanna tested on January 2nd, her hands shaking as she waited for the result. 1 line appeared immediately. She watched the window obsessively, willing a 2nd line to materialize, and then, faint but unmistakable, a 2nd line appeared. Diana's heart stopped. She tested again with a different brand. Positive. She tested a 3rd time. Positive. She walked out of the bathroom in a daze, holding all 3 tests. Vincent was in his home office working on something for the company. She appeared in the doorway, unable to speak. He looked up, saw her face, saw the tests in her hands. "Deanna, they're positive. All of them." Vincent crossed the room in 3 strides, taking the tests from her hands to see for himself. His eyes widened. "These are positive. I know, you're pregnant. I think so. I need to call doctor Patel, get a blood test to confirm, but Vincent, these are positive." He pulled her into his arms, lifting her off the ground and spinning her in a circle. When he set her down, there were tears on his face. "We're going to have a baby. Maybe. It's still so early. After the chemical pregnancies, I'm scared to get excited." "I'm scared too, but Deanna, look at these tests. Those lines are getting darker, that's a good sign." He cupped her face. "Let yourself be happy, just for today, let yourself celebrate this." So she did. They called Dr. Patel's office and scheduled a blood test for the next morning. They didn't tell anyone else, wanting to keep it private until they knew for sure. That night, they ordered takeout from Deanna's favorite restaurant and talked about baby names, about which room would become the nursery, about how their lives were about to change. "I want to tell you something," Vincent said as they lay in bed that night. "This whole process, the struggle, the disappointment, all of it, it's shown me sides of you I might never have seen otherwise. Your courage, your vulnerability, how you refuse to give up on what matters to you. I thought I knew how much I loved you before we started trying for a baby. But now I understand that love can keep growing deeper, even when you think you've reached the bottom. There is no bottom, it just keeps going." Deanna pressed herself closer to him. "I feel the same way. This has been the hardest thing I've ever gone through, but going through it with you has made me certain that there's nothing we can't handle together. You've been my rock, Vincent, every single day." The blood test confirmed the pregnancy. Deanna's HCG levels were good, rising appropriately. She went back 2 days later for another draw to confirm they were doubling. They were cautiously optimistic, Dr. Patel said with a genuine smile. "Let's schedule an ultrasound for 6 weeks. That's when we should be able to see a heartbeat." The wait for that ultrasound was excruciating. Every twinge in her body sent Deanna into a panic. Every trip to the bathroom she checked for blood. Vincent was equally anxious, though he tried to hide it for her sake. What if something's wrong? Deanna asked the night before the ultrasound. What if there's no heartbeat? Then we'll deal with it together, Vincent said. But Deanna, you can't live in the fear of what might go wrong. It'll drive you crazy. I know I'm trying, I just keep thinking about the chemical pregnancies. This is different, your levels are much higher, you have symptoms. This is sticking. She wanted to believe him. She made herself believe him. The ultrasound room was quiet except for the sound of the machine warming up. Deanna lay on the table, Vincent beside her holding her hand. Dr. Patel moved the wand over her lower abdomen, studying the screen. There, she said, turning the monitor so they could see. That's your baby. Deanna stared at the tiny blob on the screen, barely comprehensible as human, and then Dr. Patel clicked a button and sound filled the room, a rapid, fluttering heartbeat. Oh my God, Deanna breathed. Vincent's hand tightened around hers. She looked over to see tears streaming down his face. That's our baby's heart. Strong heartbeat measuring right on track for 6 weeks one day, Dr. Patel said. Everything looks perfect. Deanna couldn't stop crying. Joy, relief, disbelief, all of it crashing over her in waves. She had been so afraid to hope, so certain something would go wrong. But there it was, undeniable proof. Their baby, alive and growing inside her. In the car afterward, Vincent pulled her into a long kiss. We're having a baby, he said against her lips. We're really having a baby. I can't believe it's real. It's real. I heard the heartbeat. I saw that perfect little blob that's going to turn into our son or daughter. They told their families that night. Deanna's parents cried happy tears. Vincent's mother immediately started talking about nursery furniture. Claire screamed with excitement and then apologized for screaming so loud. I'm not out of the woods yet, Deanna cautioned everyone. First trimester is still risky. But with each passing week, each ultrasound showing growth and development, the pregnancy became more real. Deanna's body changed, her stomach rounding, her breasts swelling. Vincent was obsessed with her belly, always touching it, talking to it, kissing it goodnight. I think I'm more excited than you are, he joked one evening, his hand splayed across her growing bump. Trust me, that's not possible. Deanna covered his hand with hers. Vincent, I've been thinking about what you said, about how the struggle strengthened our love. Yeah, you were right. Going through this, having to fight so hard for this baby, it's made everything more precious, made us more solid. I don't think I would appreciate this moment as much if it had come easily. I would give anything to have spared you the pain. I know, but maybe the pain was necessary. Maybe we needed to be broken down to be built back up stronger. She smiled at him. We're going to be amazing parents because we already know how to weather storms together. We're going to be amazing parents because we love each other the way we do, Vincent corrected. Everything else is just details. The pregnancy progressed smoothly. Deanna sailed through her second trimester with energy and excitement. They found out they were having a boy and immediately started arguing about names. Vincent wanted Vincent Jr. Deanna absolutely refused. Our son deserves his own identity, she said firmly. Fine, but I want his middle name to be Vincent. Deal. They settled on Dominic Vincent Xavier. Dominic after Deanna's grandfather, Vincent as the middle name, carrying on the tradition without the pressure of being a junior. Vincent threw himself into preparing for fatherhood with the same intensity he brought to everything. He read every parenting book he could find, attended every doctor's appointment, and personally oversaw the design of the nursery. Deanna watched with amusement and overwhelming love as her husband transformed into a dad before her eyes. You know the baby won't care if the crib is exactly 3 inches from the wall or 4 inches, she teased one afternoon, finding him with a tape measure in the nursery. I care. Everything has to be perfect for him. He's going to throw up on everything and keep us awake all night. Perfect isn't really in the cards. Vincent set down the tape measure and crossed to her, pulling her into his arms as best he could around her large belly. You're wrong. He's already perfect because he's ours, because we fought for him, because he's proof that love and persistence and faith can create miracles. Diana's third trimester brought discomfort and impatience in equal measure. She was huge, uncomfortable, and desperate to meet her son. Vincent rubbed her feet, brought her ice cream at midnight, and told her she had never been more beautiful. "You're legally required to say that," she grumbled one evening, struggling to find a comfortable position on the couch. "I'm not legally required to mean it, but I do." He knelt beside her, his hand on her belly. "Diana, you're growing our son. You're doing the most incredible thing a person can do. How could I not find you beautiful?" Her water broke at 39 weeks, 2 in the morning on a Tuesday. Vincent went from dead asleep to fully alert in seconds, grabbing the hospital bag they had packed weeks ago and helping Diana to the car. "This is happening," Diana said, breathing through a contraction. "Vincent, we're going to meet our son today. I know, I can't wait." He gripped the steering wheel tightly, clearly forcing himself not to speed. "How are you feeling?" Terrified, excited, in pain, all of it at once. Labor lasted 14 hours. Vincent never left her side, letting her squeeze his hand until his fingers went numb, feeding her ice chips, coaching her breathing. When it was time to push, he stood beside her, tears streaming down his face as he watched their son enter the world. "He's here," the doctor announced. "You have a healthy baby boy." Dominic's first cry filled the room. Diana sobbed with relief and joy as they placed him on her chest, this tiny, perfect human they had fought so hard for. Vincent's hand trembled as he touched his son's head. "Hi, Dominic," he whispered. "We've been waiting for you." The baby quieted at his father's voice, dark eyes blinking up at them. Diana looked at Vincent, seeing her own overwhelming emotion reflected back at her. "We did it," she said. "You did it. You were incredible." Vincent kissed her forehead, then gently touched Dominic's tiny hand. Their son's fingers wrapped around Vincent's thumb, holding tight. "He's perfect. Absolutely perfect." The next days were a blur of feeding schedules, diaper changes, and exhaustion unlike anything Diana had ever known. But through it all, Vincent was there. He changed diapers at 3 in the morning, walked the floor with a crying Dominic when Diana needed sleep, and looked at his son with such overwhelming love it made Diana's heart ache. One night, she found Vincent sitting in the nursery rocker with Dominic asleep on his chest. He looked up as she entered, giving her a tired smile. "Hey, couldn't sleep, wanted to check on you too." She sat on the ottoman beside them. "You're a natural at this, you know. I don't feel like it. I feel like I'm making it up as I go. That's what being a parent is." Diana reached out to stroke Dominic's downy hair. "Vincent, I need to tell you something. This whole journey, from trying to conceive to the treatments to the pregnancy and now this. You've been everything I needed and more. You held me when I broke, celebrated with me when there was hope, and never once made me feel like I was going through it alone. I know I tell you I love you all the time, but I need you to understand how much. This man, this father, this husband, you're everything." Vincent's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "You gave me this," he said, looking down at their sleeping son. "You gave me a family, Diana. You fought through so much pain and disappointment and fear to bring Dominic into this world. How could I be anything less than completely devoted to you? You're my heart, both of you. Everything I am, everything I have, it all means nothing without you." Diana leaned over to kiss him softly. "We're going to be okay, aren't we, the three of us? Better than okay. We're going to be happy. We already are." 6 months later, Diana sat in their living room watching Vincent play with Dominic on the floor. Their son was laughing, that deep belly laugh babies do, as Vincent made silly faces at him. The sound was pure joy, infectious and beautiful. "I have a proposition for you," Vincent said, looking up at her. "Oh no, that tone usually means trouble. Hear me out. What if we tried for another baby?" Diana's heart stuttered. "Already? Dominic is only 6 months old." "I know. But watching you with him, being a family together, it's made me realize I want more of this. More of us. I'm not saying we have to start trying right now, but maybe we could think about it." She studied her husband, seeing the hope and slight fear in his eyes. He was worried she would say no after everything they went through before. But as she looked at Dominic, as she thought about their journey and how it had deepened their love rather than breaking it, Deanna found herself nodding. "Let's give it a few more months," she said. "Let me get through nursing and get my body back to some kind of normal. But then, yes, let's try for another baby." Vincent's face split into the widest smile. Yeah, we're good at this, the two of us, building a family, fighting for what we want, loving each other through the hard parts." She reached down to ruffle Dominic's hair. "Besides, this little guy needs a sibling to play with." "I love you," Vincent said, his voice thick with emotion. "Both of you so much. We love you too." As if understanding, Dominic reached his chubby arms up toward Deanna. She lifted him into her lap, breathing in his baby smell, feeling the solid weight of him. Vincent moved to sit beside them, his arm around Deanna's shoulders, and they stayed like that for a long while. A family built through struggle and love and unshakable commitment to each other. The journey to Dominic had nearly broken them at times, but Vincent was right. The struggle had strengthened their love, forged it into something unbreakable. Whatever came next, whatever challenges they faced, Deanna knew they would face them together. They always had. They always would. And that was more than enough.